Let's go. Welcome, everybody. We're here today to review the Svengoolie comic book, Svengoolie, Lost in Time, Whence Comes the Svenbot. What we have right now on the screen are the two standard covers of the book. And if we flip over, we'll see this is the Frank Miller Presents publication as the publishing house, as the studio releasing these comics. I want to take a minute before we go into the content of the comic. Let's look at the variant covers. This cover by Rich Kunz, I hope I say his name right. Look at that. What a great rendering of Sven and Tombstone. I had showed this comic previously in a previous video that we did here. Compliments and thanks to Dave, Terror Dave, terrordaves.com on the horror blogging for picking that up. Also, courtesy of Dave, this from First Aid Comics with cover art by Jim Angle. So typically I'm not one to get variant covers, but when it comes to Sven, I definitely wanted to make an exception because I'm really liking these variant covers. Here we have a Buy Me Toys and Comics exclusive cover. I should mention, as I show, that this is at First Aid Comics in Chicago, right there at either 1617 East 55th or 1142 West Taylor. Here we have the Buy Me Toys and Comics exclusive from Bill Morrison, and what a packed cover this is. The return of, the curse of, the son of, the bride of, the ghost of, the atomic brain of Svengoolie. And then right in here, instead of Universal, it says no rehearsal. And then like a prop movie poster listing Svengoolie, Doug Graves, Kerwin, Zalman T. Tombstone, and Buddy Sorrell. So one more variant cover, and this is from Oh Yeah Comics. This cover art by Art Baltazar, and this was the same day, the comic signing, the same day that I picked up this book is what I'm trying to say, was the same day that Godzilla Fest had started. So I had the good fortune of running into Nanette and Warner at the actual signing, and then I got caught up with Dave the following day. But the signatures here, the top signature from Sven himself, and then also present on the day were Art Baltazar in his own shop of Oh Yeah Comics, and Dan DiDio was right in there also. So I definitely wanted to highlight these variant covers and the artists. So before we dive into the actual comic, I just wanted to show that if people are interested in these different artists, they're currently available on the MeTV Svengoolie store. So this is, as it says right here, the Horror of Svengoolie poster from Bill Morrison. And then next up we have the Jill Thompson variant cover. Over here we have the Burnin' Rubber Chicken Jim Angle art is available. And of course, they're in t-shirt format and poster format. The main artist, or the first 15-page artist, is Chris Jones. So this is, of course, one of the more well-known Sven images. So this one is actually not through the MeTV or not through the Svengoolie store, but this is through Etsy and the Chris Jones art. And of course, also to stay current on Sven's coming and going, the terrordave.com, and here are the articles that Dave wrote to cover the Flashback Horror Weekend, as well as the Godzilla Fest. So Dave's been putting out a lot of quality pictures and a lot of quality words together. And here we have just a little sample of the costume contest from Flashback. So it's always good to be able to track the best and most current news for Sven through the Terror Dave blog. So now, oh yeah, and there's the good old diver helmet for the channel that dives in. So let's get the camera situated, and let's dive in and break down this issue. Let's start with the opening credits. And so the lead writer listed here, story and dialogue, Rich Coase, Chris Faulkner, and Jim Roach. Script assist by Franco. So Franco is part of the Oh Yeah Comics studio, or Oh Yeah Comics stable, the group. So script assist. So that had me wondering, and maybe someday I'll get the answers to the questions, but script assist. So was that more just trying to break up how many word balloons or how many words to go per panel, or was Franco helping translate the ideas generated by Rich Coase and Chris Faulkner and Jim into like a comic script format so that Chris Jones would be able to design the art images? So I hope I can figure out or learn the answer for that someday. Okay, so pages 16 to 21, Art Baltazar. Pages 22 to 29, Jill Thompson. And then we go back to Art Baltazar and then back to Jill Thompson. We have some bonus material in the back on Nostalgia Foratu. So he who plays Nostalgia Foratu is Bill Leff. The art and colors for those 2 pages toward the end of the book are from Bill Morrison, and we did just look at Bill Morrison's cover. Lettering, Carlos Mangual, I hope I'm saying that right. Assistant editor, Leilani Ramos, and Dan Didio there, and Donna D'Alessandro with the MeTV executive level. So first thing I want to note here is the use of color, and I'm a bit familiar with Chris Jones's art style from having looked at the image that green tinted image he has of Sven. But so right here he's got some darker colors replicating up on the top there, the studio lights shooting the MeTV camera, shooting in the studio. So again, darker colors. A depiction of Faulkner and a depiction of Jim Roach throwing chickens. So already just within the first 2 pages here, the chickens are being deflected away from Sven. So we know that something is amiss, or that'll become the mystery, is to track down what could be going on here, what could be causing these rubber chickens to bounce away. Again, curious for Chris Jones, did he use photo reference? Did he just kind of pause the show as he was watching it? Because I think it's a pretty good likeness of Jim and of Chris up there. I'm going to figure that Chris Jones is pretty familiar with the Sven studio here, having the 2 gargoyles on either side of the door, the one of them resembling Vincent Price, the other one resembling Boris Karloff. So I wanted to also look at the panels per page. So Chris is using on this page here, we're at like a 6-panel grid. Over here, we're at a 2, 4, 7-panel grid. So it's pretty standard comic style paneling and gridding with borders around each image and each page. Pretty equal time, equal billing here. Kerwin gets a couple of shots at a half page. Let's get a little bit zipped in on Kerwin there. What a great rendering of Kerwin. Let's close in on Tombstone a bit here. I'm really liking that depiction in that image of Tombstone. And of course, two panels each or half page each. Buddy Sorrell has to get some screen time or some page time right here while we're at it. So then Sven's starting to realize we've got a answer for the rubber chicken mystery. And then already, economy of storytelling, we're at the introduction of Dr. Kopay, who will be the mad scientist villain over here. Again, I want to leave some encouragement to come out and buy the book, so I don't want to cover every word in every panel. But needless to say, Kopay feels that he had been slighted by some set of events, and I would encourage people to pick up the book to get the specifics of that story, of how Kopay came to have a villain's mindset here. So here we go. We have a bit of an origin story within the comic continuity of how did Kerwin get to arrive at Sven's place with that Berwyn ice truck. Then we have another bit of an origin story here for how did Buddy Sorrell end up to be with Sven. How does the talking coffin get with the man in the hat? And my longtime appreciated character of Tombstone, There's a little bit of an origin story for him also. As these three pieces are set in the past, I just wanted to pick up on that Jones was definitely drawing an older Sven shirt with the ruffles there compared to his more current day depiction of Sven. So let me just set the business down so I can flip pages. Here comes the man. Of course, if you got a mad scientist, then an evil robot can't be too far away. So this is the Sven bot, and the Sven bot is absolutely going to be an agent of disruption. In here, we have a different kind of a time machine, not quite a DeLorean. It's more of a shopping cart format. And anyway, the plot, again, I don't want to give everything away, but there is a plot to disrupt things. And now here we go, transitioning to the Art Balthazar art. So of course we're going to reference the Three Stooges in a prehistoric way right here. And it's just, again, interesting the way Jones renders the Svenbot compared to Art's more cartoony style. As I had noted, the darker setting and darker tone on the Chris Jones pages, where here Art is sticking to his more traditional, his wheelhouse of really bright use of colors. And again, we're at standard, gridding and standard paneling. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panel grid over here again, and a 7 panel grid right here. As you can see around the borders, the trim is printed and posted. Very traditional comic way of putting a book together. Now you got Sven on the phone. You get Sven with the green scarf. So again, we're tracking the different Sven outfits over time. If I can come up here also, I mean, that's just, to me, that's just a really fun, great panel. And I'm glad I have this book. This is some real good stuff here. Also on this side, just noticing the differences in how the three different artists in this book are rendering the mustaches. So right here, we got a pretty puffed out Tombstone mustache, and that's a good thing. And Sven's mustache, as you can see, is right there. And just coming back to cross reference compared to this extended, exaggerated mustache on Tombstone right here. So it was just cool to see the different artists in the same book put the things together. Svenbot has, as you can see, some stretchable arms as part of his arsenal of weaponry. And now here we are on the Jill Thompson art pages, and slightly different than the other two. We're at a comic panel without a hard set border, without a black trim around the border. And again, each of them had their rendering of Sven himself and of the Svenbot. So there's her take on the character. There's her take on Dr. Kopay, definitely looking like a bit of a mad scientist. And let's see how she's depicting Sven. Of course, he's carrying a rubber chicken. We got the standard black hat and the chicken necklace around the neck. So again, it's just kind of fun to have three different art styles in the same book. She also has here with the Svenbot a robo skull, or some kind of mechanical floating skull in place of Tombstone. So it's good stuff in here. The story progresses. Needless to say, sometimes when you're a mad scientist, things don't go exactly the way you planned. And again, I don't want to give away every detail of the book. Now this one here, I'm curious. So Sven right here was doing the two drawn out. If anybody could decipher what name is on this two drawn out, I'd be curious. Please feel free to post that in the comments. Or I don't know if the image is supposed to be upside down from this or inverted from this. But I was just, again, I have more questions than answers. I'd be curious if that was just for a placeholder, or if that's supposed to actually be this kid's name on the two drawn out. Again, looking at the coverage of the sidekicks here. So Jill also had rendered Tombstone and Kerwin and Buddy Sorrell right here in these images. So again, looking at the mustache, the mustache is different on Tombstone for each of the three artists. Kerwin has different sides of his personality showing through with each artist. And, well, Buddy Sorrell, what can you say about that guy? He's still Buddy Sorrell. So, okay, the story progresses, and these are some more Jill Thompson pages here, and then we revert back to some Art Balthazar things. Again, in this, I'm figuring that's a Fred Flintstone-looking clothing with a Wilma Flintstone looking haircut. So it's an interesting redo or interesting blend of other characters from other stuff. Again, I think this is a really fun set here between Sven and Buddy Sorrell. I really appreciate Art Baltazar's art style. And again, not to give everything away, but as I very often hope that one day they'll release a Svengoolie mobile. Interesting to see Sven trick the Sven bot into transforming into a Sven mobile. Again, boy, oh boy, I hope they really release that sometime out here in the future. Okay, so right then we have some conflict towards resolution. The Sven bot is Sven botting around, and will our heroes of the day find a way to get a resolution and win the day? Please pick up the book so you can see how that goes. And then we have just the standard ding dong at the door, which is a very staple piece of Svengoolie's material. And then we transition into the 2 pages of Bill Leff and the Nostalgia for Ratu. So Nostalgia for Ratu being more recent around the show, I look forward so much,